So this is a separate topic. People are still joining. I don't know. So what I will do here is these are different relationship, right? When you create a data model, this kind of things happen. Uh, so I do not want to cover it right now. So I will. So what I need to do is, in the Excel sheet yesterday you saw, right, there were 3 sheets. So basically Tableau is just trying to create a relationship. This is how the relationship uh, looks like in Tableau. Now let me remove these. Okay. All right. Now the same file I have connected, the preview and all those things are there. Now let's go to Tableau. Okay. Now there are few things I wanted to cover here. Okay. So yesterday we saw like how once you connect, there are 2 things: dimensions, measures. Tableau automatically separates these dimensions and measures. And looking at this, you can find out the data types. Now there are a few things, other few things here. There are some italic cases. You see some text are written in italic. So this measure names, latitude, longitude, order count. So when you see something that is italic, always know that they are auto-generated. Tableau has generated for you. You do not have to write anything for that. Tableau has generated. These are auto-generated fields. Okay, these italic ones. Okay, just know that. Okay. Now at the bottom there is something called parameters. We will cover later. So basically these are very flexible way of creating reports or dashboards. You will get a lot of flexibility. User will get a lot of flexibility in how they interact with the dashboard. Okay. All right. Now these are like hierarchies, right? These are hierarchy. Looking at this symbol, you know that this is a hierarchy. This is a calendar, which is basically a date field. This is a string, and there is something bin has been created. This is a set. So just know the icons. We'll get into all these things later. This is a set, right? This globe is basically, if I expand this location, if it's a geographical data, there will be a globe next to it. Yeah. All right. Now let's see how Tableau works. Normally, Tableau, you want to do something, you drag and drop. But what happens when you drag and drop? What actually happens? Let's say there is something called customer name. Okay. If I just drag customer name to my, let's say, to my columns. Let me put it like this. So these are all my customer names. And how do I know how many customers? Always refer to your left-hand side bottom. 793 marks. That means I have 793 distinct customer names. So in SQL, if you write a query, right, select a distinct customer name from orders. So you will get 793. When you do something in Tableau, right, always think it from a SQL point of view. Tableau runs on a SQL engine. Everything that you drag and drop, a SQL query is fired. A SQL query is generated and that is fired to the database. Let's say you just drag and drop sales, right? Let's say now I will drag and drop, let's say sales. Okay. Now, who can tell me the SQL query for this?
Select customer name, sum of sales from table, group by customer name.
Very nice. Group by customer name. That is the exact query that Tableau would have generated and would have fired to the data source. Okay, very good. Now let's say I have put customer name and sum of sales here. Now let's say I want to sort it from highest to lowest. Very easy. There are multiple ways you can do it. I showed you yesterday from here. You can do it from here. Also, you can do it when you come to this, the axis, right? The y-axis. Also, there is a sorting icon. So normally people will get confused how this sorting icon works. Let's say I click once. What happened? It sorted highest to lowest. Click one more time. It is sorting lowest to highest. Okay. Click one more time. It will reset. I mean, the way it was in the beginning, that will reset. But here is only 2 things: highest or lowest. Nothing. There's no reset from here. But here you can reset. Okay. The third click is always a reset. Okay. So just know these things. I mean, nobody will tell you these things. You just know these things. Okay. So let me sort it highest to lowest. So I have just added an order by clause, right? Select customer name, comma, sum of sales from table, group by customer name, order by customer name, right? And what I'm ordering it by?
Descending.
Descending of what?
Customer name.
No,
Sum of sales.
sales, right? I mean, highest sales is on top. So it's order by sales descending, right? I mean, sum of sales descending. Okay. Now let's say, let me turn on the labels. So when we drag and drop something, Tableau has created, I mean, customer name into columns. So it put customer name into my columns, sales into rows. So it gave me an access. Now how this value is coming. So what is the sales for Sean Miller? It's $25,043. Okay. So basically it is saying that all the sales put together for Sean Miller is 25,043. It only shows one bar, but it may not be the case. There could be multiple records and it has been aggregated at the visualization level. So let's say if I want to see what are the rows that has contributed to this value 25,043. So you can just do one thing, you can just click on the value or just hover over for a few seconds, 1 or 2 seconds. What you will get is on the right hand side, a bar will come. Should come. If it is not coming, just click on it and you see this. Okay, once you click, just hover your mouse there for a few seconds on the right and extreme right. Can you see this icon, guys? The dotted icons. So that is basically, sorry. Any question, guys? Okay, click on it, stay there for a few seconds and this view data. If you click on this, now what it gives you, this is the view data thing. So basically first it will give you a summary. Summary is mostly always like what is the visualization you have used. Customer name, sum of sales, that's what it is giving me as a summary. But there is something called full data. If I click on this, now I will get to see all the rows that has contributed to this $25,043. Now there are how many rows? There are 15 rows. Okay, so Sean Miller may have purchased 15 products from us, and that is contributed to this sales. Like, let's say if I go to the right, this is my sales column. Now let's say I can click here also. You can copy and you can export. Anything is possible from this also. Now these are the different sales amount. 22,630 the highest sales, $3.49 is the lowest sales. Let's say. So one thing we understood here is Tableau is aggregating everything when we drag and drop, right? And we saw like what underlying values are there for this particular bar. I can also do one thing. I can go to this analysis and there is something called, you see these aggregate measures. If I uncheck this, now you see what is happening. All the individual items are separated now. All the individual items are separated. Now this is just sales. Now let's see if I have to search for that. Sean Miller, right? The customer name as I was showing. Now it is now everywhere. Okay, I probably I'll need to scroll through. This is not possible. So what I will do here is I'll put customer name into filters. Okay, the moment I put it into a filter, it gives me all the list of values. You see here, like selected 793 or 793 values. So this is my distinct number of customers. Okay, so what I'll do here is click on none and I'll start typing the customer name. Sean Miller, this is a customer name. Click OK. Okay. Now you see this is the particular customer that we are talking about. Now what we have done is we have, since I unchecked this aggregate measures. So what is happening is it is giving me all the individual sales amount. So I'll just let me reduce this size a little bit and I will change this to a circle. Probably I'll reduce the opacity a little bit. Now it is all individual sales item. Now if I just select all of it, you see what is my total value? 25,043 and 15 marks are there. Okay, the same thing. We just unchecked the, I didn't do the aggregation. I disaggregated it and I still can see the same value. Any questions so far?
That means why we have done this, like to find out that for Shawnmira how much the data is, like why we have done this, remove the aggregate, converting
No,
into
I just
the,
wanted to show you how it works in Tableau.
okay.
Okay. I mean, there is no other reason. I just wanted to show how Tableau aggregates, what happens when you disaggregate, how many marks, all those things are. They
Got
are
it.
basically building blocks, okay, of Tableau. All right. Okay. Now let's say I will do something. Let's say you people know what is a scatter plot.
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
It is a points. It is at various points on a chart or on a plot.
Mm-hmm.
Type of chart plot.
Data represented by points.
So basically, scatter plots are used to find out correlation between two measures, right? Let's say sales versus profit, and it will distribute across. Now, what is happening? Sales versus profit, it is 1 point. Profit is this and sales is this. Guys, just give me 1 second. I'm getting a ping from office. 1 second. Sorry guys, he's pinging me. Looks like he needs some data. Alright. Okay, so I've created a simple scatter plot, sales versus profit, and what is giving me the aggregated values for sales and profit here. Okay, so basically this is where we are standing from the sales perspective, and this is where we are standing from the profit perspective. Let's say I want to do something to it. What will happen? Let's say region, right? So how many regions we have? We have 4 regions: north, east, south, west. You can do always a describe, and you can see some of the some of the distinct values. Okay, so let's say if I just drag and drop to details. Now what is happening now? This entire chart is being segregated by 4 different regions, right? We got 4 distinct values, so 4 different distinct marks on this card, 4 marks, and each mark has their own profit and sales, right? Okay, now let's say I will add one more field. Okay, let's say I will add let's say product, and there is something called category. Okay, let's say I'll describe, and how many distinct values in this? 3 distinct values. Okay, and what are those values? Basically they are furniture, office supplies, and technologies. Now let's say if I put category into color, how many marks I will see?
4.
Okay, in category, I have 3 values. Region, there are 4 values. So if I put category to color, you see what is happening? 4 into 3, right? There are 12 marks now, right? Because now each category is given the color, individual colors, and then they are again like already region at 4 marks, right? 4 distinct values. Now category is 3 distinct values, like 4 into 3. Now let's say I will add something else. Let's say segment or ship mode. Ship mode is basically 4 distinct values again. First class, same day, second class, standard class. Now let's see if I put into shape, how many marks I will see now?
8.
How many?
8.
48, yes. So there are 48 marks now. So 4 into 3 into 4. Okay, so there are 48 marks. Okay. Now this is how when you drag and drop something to Tableau, right? It has an impact on the number of marks. So always be mindful of it. More number of marks means more time to load the data, more time to load the visualization. So it will take a lot of time. When you work in a real time, this may go to millions. Okay, so try to avoid those kind of things. Always remove things that may not be necessary. 1 second, guys. All right. Now let's see if I just do something like postal code to detail, what will happen? You see, postal code to detail I put. So each and every mark is now a different postal code. How many marks now? 2589. Okay, there are so many, right? Do we need it? Always ask that question. Always ask that question in that visualization. Do we need that? If you don't need it, always remove it. So you see, this is put into color. This is put into shapes. These are all part of details, right? So I'll just remove this. Now I'll get back to the original view. All right. Okay. Now let me get into the other thing.
Just a question. In the
Yeah.
previous case, see with this graph, right? It's very difficult to make sense of the graph, isn't it?
Sometimes, sometimes you won't be able to, no, you don't want to read each and every item, but maybe you just want to see like overall shape of things, right? So in
The
that
trend
case,
lines.
the trend lines or like where the most of the things are concentrated, right? From a in this scatter plot, right? You see majority of the things are sorry, majority of the things are to the this bottom left
Left bottom.
side, right? So you
Yeah.
may, yeah, so it's not always like that how you want to see, but what makes more sense for that particular use case. So always normally what happens is when everybody, for this is true for everybody, whenever you want to do something, you always think of the chart. Okay, I will make this chart, I will do that chart. Don't do that. Always think what will make sense for this type of data. That should be your first thing, not the chart. Don't think of a chart and try to fit in your data to that chart. It is always wrong. It's not like what you think will always be correct. It's like what the data demands. That should be your first point of thinking. Okay.
So is there a methodology to determine for which data, what kind of chart is required?
Yeah, there are. I mean, if you just go to Google, probably I may have something, but you will find a lot of documents that will tell you if the data type is this, you can create this sort of chart. Let's search it. I will show you.
Maybe we will need a class on that, just to make sure we are able to use the right
Yeah.
chart for the right data.
Yes, 100%. This is a very broad subject, very, very broad subject, because the visualization is such a thing. Everybody thinks they know it. Okay. Everybody will, if you show it to somebody, they will have their own opinions. Everybody will give an opinion. But at the end of the day, you need to figure out whether it is making sense, whether it is conveying the message, whether it is highlighting the important issues, right? All those things should be taken care of. Don't use a lot of colors. You will see people would use a lot of jazzy colors in the chart. Don't use a lot of colors, one or two colors max. Those colors you should always use to highlight something or draw somebody's attention to. So colors should be used only for that, not for making it a rainbow kind of thing. Don't do that. Okay. Always stick to one or two color. Be consistent. Like if you're using one color, use it across. Use it across for the same type of thing. Use one font, one style. Remove clutters. You see these grid lines, right? They don't make any sense in this, right? These grid lines. Okay. So there is a
Right.
thing. There is a thing called ink ratio. Okay. Right now it is no more effective, something called ink ratio. What is called ink ratio? So what it is, when the digital media was not there, everything was in print, right? People used to print big posters and everything. So that time that ink ratio was there. So this ink ratio is nothing but your ink used in the actual, I would say ink used for actual,
Print,
for
right?
for the actual representation or data, something like that, divided by total ink. Okay, so this ratio should be always closer to 1. Okay, so that means your chart is junk free, you can say. Now here you see there's a lot of junks, these grid lines. Does it convert, does it convey any or contribute anything to the chart? No, there is a zero line going. Maybe not. Like there's so many things happening. So you can just format go to this lines, right? These grid lines, say none, the grid lines are gone. Okay. There's so many other things you can do that. This, if you don't need this zero line, change it off. Okay. So these things, like make it clean always. So these are basically junks. If you have more such junks, the visualization may not be appealing. Okay. Try to always create a cleaner uh, chart to your stakeholders. Always use good fonts. So when you join any organization, they will have this set of fonts, colors. They will have it. Okay. So you may have to use that. So you can always create your own color palette. These are all color palettes, right? They're all color palettes. You may not see these color palettes because I have added them extra. In the interview also, they might ask you, how do you add extra color palettes? So it's very simple. Go to this document, and in this document folder, there is something called my Tableau repository. In that Tableau repository, there is something called a preference.tps file. Okay. Okay. So if you open this, I'll just edit with a notepad. Edit with notepad plus plus. So this is nothing but you would see set of HTML codes. See, for each color code, it is just the HTML codes. You can add your own HTML code to this. You can change, add different colors. Let's say you are a product-based company, you have multiple products. So you can create this color code for each and every product that you have, and you can give it, let's say, give it name, your company name, and like any type you can give, and you can create. So just remember this, not very critical, but if somebody asks how do you add different color palettes, then you can say that. Okay. Preference.tps file. And that will show up here in this color palette. Okay. Now when you work something, right, always try to save your work. Okay, because sometimes your Tableau may crash. So what I need to do here is I'll go to file, save as. So when you do a save as, there are two types of extensions. One is TWB, other is TWBX. Let's give it a name. Let's say day 2 I will give. Okay. Now, what is the difference between TWB and TWBX? Let's first save it TWB, and I'll go to that folder. Now you see these two files are saved as TWB file. Now I will save the same file as TWBX, and then I will tell you the difference. Now this time I will just change it to Tableau packaged workbook. Look at the name, Tableau workbook, Tableau packaged workbook. Now I will save it. Now the Tableau packaged workbook will have the extension .twbx. The Tableau workbook will have the extension .twb. You see there is an icon also. By looking at it, you can differentiate. So there is something, a golden strip that runs across, runs down on the TWBX file. And you also notice the size is little more compared to the workbook, packaged workbook. So how this is helpful? This is basically a packaged workbook. You see, package, that means data is also part of it. Okay, data is also part of it. Let's say I want to share this workbook with somebody who doesn't have access to the data. I can convert it to a packaged workbook and I send it. So just think like a zipped folder. But this is only the workbook. It will not have the data. So if you share this file, if you share this file with somebody, I mean, if you're just sharing this file, okay, the individual files I'm talking about, then if that person doesn't have that data, then they won't be able to see or do anything. They will open the workbook, but nothing will render, no visualization will come up, nothing will happen. So you need to share that source also separately to them. But if you convert this to a packaged workbook, they will see everything. Data and everything will be part of it. Okay. I can unpackage it also. Right click, and if you unpackage, you would see it will give me a folder. Let it come up. As I told you, my laptop is very slow today. I restarted, some update happened. Okay. Now you see, it gave me a file folder. The same file, I just unpackaged. Now, if you go to this, you will see different components in this. Now you see, the data is also part of it. Can you see this? So this is a zipped folder that it creates when you, so what happened when I unpackaged, this is one workbook, day 2, and also it has created this file. If you see this file, it will give you the Tableau workbook, it will give you the data set also separately. So I mean, you see both are same 220. I only had this before. I saved it as a TWB file, but when I unpackaged it, this and this both got generated. Okay, so this is the basic difference between TWB file and TWBX file. In interview, they might ask also. Any questions, guys?
So I have a question in sheet 2.
You can you ask your question?
Yes, sir. We add 4 columns, and after region, we add also country and region.
So you have 4. What
No,
are
sir.
the
Sir, question in sheet 2, sir. Existing sheet, sir.
sheet 2? Okay.
Yes, sir. So after region, we add country / region, sir. Yeah. Yes.
Country / region. Oh, I mean,
But-
yeah, you can
but-
remove it.
But
If you,
no, sir. After adding that column, we have still 48 marks.
because this is same. I mean, there is no distinction. What you can do here is you can drag and drop country region. Oh, okay. It is United States, and this region is basically all the regions. So you see, this value is already lower than this value, so it will not have any impact on this. Only the column that has more granular information will have an impact on this. So if I just remove it also, nothing will change, because I mean, it will look at all these combinations and it will give me that value. Let's say, very simple, I'll make it for you. Let's say I have just category. Now if I add region and this to detail, you would see nothing will happen. Because why? Because it has only one distinct value, and 1 into 3, nothing happens. But if I just add a region, it will be 4 into 3 now, 12, because it has 4 distinct values. So it works on it that way.
So if we have two records in region, then
Of course, 4 into 2, 3
4
into
into
2,
2.
6.
So sir, country and region have only one record.
Country, yeah, there is only one distinct value, so no change to the marks. You see there are 3 marks. If I put region into detail, it is still 3 marks. There is no change.
You can see it by going to describe.
Sorry?
We can see the records of country and region by click on describe.
Yeah, you can. Or
Yes.
you can do that way, or you can drag and drop to any rows or something to see the distinct values. Multiple ways are there. You can put it just in on the filters also. Just see it, then close it. That's okay. If you just want to see like what is present. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now let me go to the data source page. Now here, there are few things, very important things now I'm going to talk about. There's something called connection, live and extract. Okay. By default, you connect to something, it will be a live connection. Live means it is connected to the source live. Any change happens, it will reflect. Okay, on Tableau also. Any change happens in the, when I say any change happens at the source level. To the data, if any change happens, it will show in my Tableau. Okay, that is live connection, as simple as that. Okay, live connections may be a little bit slow when you work on a real-time environment, because there will be a lot of data. I mean, you will not work with few hundred or thousand rows normally. You will work, it can run into few hundred millions. Okay, so what happens when you, simple thing, right? When you query from a table which has millions of rows and you just do a select star, it will take a lot of time. But if it has few records, you may not feel that difference. It will be very quick. Similarly, the same thing happens as we already discussed, like when you do something, it triggers a query to the database. So at live runtime, it is trying to fetch the data from the database. It is firing a query and it is trying to fetch information from there. So it will be a little slow. So most of the times you would see people are using extract connection in real time. Extract, what it does is it extracts all the data from your source to your local machine and it compresses it. Okay, it compresses it so that, and this is compressed in a very highly optimized way, so that next time when you query, next time you do something on your Tableau visualization, it will not query the database and it will just query the extract that you have created. So that way it will be slow because it is already available with Tableau itself, because it has already imported the data into Tableau. Let's do that. Now this is a live connection, nothing will happen. Let me click on extract. Okay, the moment I clicked on extract, nothing happened. But let's see if I go to a sheet. The moment I click on sheet, you see, can you see something? That extract has been created. That extract has been created. Now let me go here. Okay, what else are things are there? You see this? Can you see this? This extract, it was not there before. Now it has come. Tableau extract. It is basically the extension is .hyperfile. Okay, the extension is .hyperfile. Okay, let me do it from the beginning. Okay, let me just uncheck it. Let me just create a new workbook so that I will show you from the beginning. I just pressed Control N. So let it open and I will show you with a new workbook. You didn't see any difference because it's already a TWBX file. Data was already packaged. So you may not see that difference. Connect to data. I'll go to sample superstore. And now it is, the data has come. I'll go to data source. Remove. Now by default it's a live connection. Now I'll click on extract. Now you see, if I go to a sheet, what will happen is it will ask me to save the extract. It is asking me exactly that. You see, it is just save extract as. I'll go to our folder April 6th, and this is the sample superstore.hyperfile. Let's say I will say _2 because there is already one file with it, _2, and this is the extensions .hyper and save it. Now the extract is saved. Okay. Now if it is importing, some message you will get. If it's a real time, it might take 5-10 minutes, depending on the volume of the data. If it's few thousand rows, you won't even notice. Now you see this is now extract. I'll go to the previous workbook and let's do one thing. Let me make it a live connection. So I just change it to live. Okay. And go to the sheet. Now you see this is a live connection. This is how the icon looks like when it is live, one cylinder. But when it is an extract, you see there's a 2 cylinder with an arrow on top of it. So this is an extract connection. Now when you do an extract, what happened? It created a extract file, which is basically a .hyper file. That means Tableau has imported all the data from the source to my local machine. Now that is a highly compressed file, highly compressed file, and data is available within Tableau. So that when you query something, it will be very fast. It's 832 KB. But if you look at the normal file size, normally it is 1178 KB. More the data volume, the more compression it will do. I mean, you can think like it will compress around 1/10 of the file. If you have 10 MB file, it might be around 1 to 2 MB, something like that. I mean, it will compress that much the data. It will be very fast. Use this extract when there is no need of a real-time analysis. Users don't want to see the data on a real time, but they want to see like, okay, this is a weekly, monthly. You can, in that case, you can go ahead with the extract connection. Okay, but when you do an extract, it needs to be refreshed, right? I mean, because this extract happens when you extract it, what happens, whatever the data was present, in this case 7th April 9:27, whatever data was present in my database, it has imported everything until then. But let's say any new records got added after this, how it will come up. So what happens in that case, there is something called a schedule. Very important thing. Listen carefully. There is something called a schedule. When you, let's say you create a visualization and you publish it by creating an extract. Okay, you publish it. When I say you publish it to the Tableau server for the users. Let's say you created a fine dashboard and it's an extract and you published it. So while publishing, listen carefully, while publishing, you will get those schedule options. So your organization will have a set of schedules. Let's say the schedule will look something like every day morning 6 o'clock, or every weekday, or every Monday, or every week Sunday or Saturday, something like that. There will be different schedules available. So you will choose one. So when you publish, right, you publish it from here, server, publish workbook. You see this is grayed out because I don't have a server on my machine. So this option will get highlighted otherwise. Okay, publish workbook. Once you click on that, you will get a window. Let me search for that in the Google. So you will be able to connect to what I'm saying. Tableau publish. So I'll go to the help.tableau.com, Tableau's website. Let's see. So when you want to share a workbook with your colleagues, you can publish it to Tableau server or Tableau online. I told yesterday, Tableau server basically is something that can be managed by basically fully managed by you. Tableau online may be managed by Tableau. Okay. There are other people, so other people can view it, interact with it, and even edit it if their server permissions allow. Remember, I was talking about 3 different roles yesterday: interactor, explorer, and viewer. So this is basically the explorer thing they are talking about. Before you publish your workbook, make sure you know the following: the name of the server, how to sign into it, if your organization uses Tableau online, so all those things. Okay, now you see here already somebody has clicked on the Tableau uh, publish workbook option. Okay, so now this is not good. This is not good. Wait, let me go for some images. We'll find something. I saw something already. Okay, now let me open this. Let me know, if you can see my screen. Okay, so can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let it come up. So you see, it went to Tableau server, publish work. Now this window came up. Now he just said published, and it is publishing complete because it is very small data he might be using. Now these are the schedule refreshes, right? Different refreshes will be there. You can change. Let me again. Not a very clear picture. Will this be? Okay. Now let me open this. I should have my account already. Hope it works. Now you look at this. Somebody just clicked on Tableau public. Now this thing will come up. If I'm just trying to zoom in a little bit. Now, if you can see it, guys, you see the first thing is the project. Okay, which project? Because when you join any organization, any team, they will have their own project folder. Okay, there will be multiple: sales, marketing, HR, finance, different team. So you choose the right folder from here. Even if you choose a wrong folder, it will not work because you might not have access to that. Now the name of the dashboard, basically the name of the dashboard that you may have given here on the dashboard. Whatever name you give, it will go there. Okay, this is the name of the dashboard. Then if you want to give a description, it's okay. If not, that is fine, that is option. Now there is something, refresh schedule. If it is an extract only, these options will come up. If it is a live connection, you will not get these options. Okay, so refresh schedule, you see the end of the month, Saturday night, weekday early morning. These are the different schedule that your admin team would have created for you. You don't need to worry about it. If you need, I mean, almost you will get all the different schedules here. Okay, click on any one that makes sense based on the data, and then you can click on this publish. So what will happen once you publish it? Let's say you clicked on, let's say every today is what, Thursday, right? So every Thursday morning at 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock, let's say 10 o'clock. So what will happen when it hits 10 o'clock? Automatically it will again try to refresh that extract that you would have created already. So in that way, you do not need to do anything. Once you publish it, you schedule the extract, automatically your data will be refreshed on whatever time you would have given. Okay, this is how you have automated the report. Okay, so I just wanted to share that information. Now let's say there is something called live and extract, right? Let me do that for you and show you. Let's say I will create an Excel file. Any question on this, guys? What I'm saying? Let's say I will have product ID. Let's say product ID and the sales. Or let's say I have a data set already. Wait. I think I have a data set already. Okay, let me open this file incrementally. So I have this data set. I have date and I have sales. Okay, date and sales. Let's say I will connect to this file. I'll connect to this file. Okay, so understood the data. Very simple data. I have 9 days of sales and I have my sales information. Okay, now let's say I'll close it and I'll just paste it in our folder. Copy, copy, paste. Now I'll connect to this file now. So I'll go to Tableau, and what I will do here is I will create one more connection. So I can connect to data from, you can go to this landing page, you can connect from there, or you can connect from here, anywhere from you can connect to. So let me go to that file, that incremental file, open. Now I've connected to that file and this is sheet 1. Let me go to the folder, the data. Let's say I have my date here. So since the date, it is directly trying to give me the year because that's the granularity it follows. Let's say I'll put it into text. In I don't want to create a chart, and I want to show all the dates. So I will go here and make it exact date and make it discrete. Okay, now I have all the dates here and their sales. Now let's say I will make, so this is a live connection, and what will happen, let's say I will again open that Excel file. And I will open it again. Now let's say I will add one more record, 10th, and let's say I'll put 650. Okay, now I've saved it. I've saved it also. Now I'll go to my report. Now you see nothing is happening. I've already added the data, right? It's a live connection. Still nothing is happening. That is because you haven't done anything. Let's say I will now, you can right click and refresh so that it will come up, or you need to do some change. Let's say I will something you do that. So better right click and refresh. You see that record came in. All right. So this is a live connection. Okay. Now let's say I will create an extract on top of it. Okay. I'll create the extract data. Extract. Let it be saved there. Save. Now this is an extract. Now let me go again and I will add one more row. And let's say I'll say 700. Okay, save it. Now you see it is not, by default it will not come up. If I right click also, if you do if you just do a right click refresh, you see still nothing happened, right? Still nothing happened. That thing is not coming up because so what you need to do in this case is right click, this refresh will not work. Go to extract because it is an extract, right? It is an extract. Now you go here and refresh. So it is saying the entire content of the extract will be refreshed during extract refresh. I say, okay, this is just a warning that it gives you. Now you see that next record came in. So this is another way. Now let's say I'll go back and let's say extract data. If you just click on and do the extract data, there are a few options. Now this is a full refresh. What we just did, right click, and if you see this refresh, that warning comes up. The entire content of the extract will be replaced during the extract refresh. So basically, if there are one row also added, it will try to refresh all the rows. Even let's say 1 million records are present before you refresh, and one row got added, so it will refresh all the 1,000,001 records. But it may not work perfectly sometimes, because if you have more data, even the refresh time will take time. When the schedule will refresh, run and refresh the data, that will also take time. So there is something called an incremental refresh. Okay, incremental refresh. What will happen? It will just identify a new record. It will just identify the new record and it will refresh that. That is called an incremental refresh. So what happens here? Right click, and if you do this extract data, there are a few options here. Okay, so the first option is basically a filter. Specify how much data to extract. So if you want, you can put a filter, because there are two columns here. Let's say you want it from a certain point in time. You can add this. Let's say I'll click on date. So it tells me like from which date or what date I want to filter. You can do it from here. If you don't want to put any filter and you want it for all, then leave it as it is. Don't put a filter. The next option is aggregation. Aggregate data for visible dimensions. Let's say if I click on this, what all options are coming. Now there is the option called roll up dates too. If I click on this, automatically the rolling up will happen for that year. But if you do not want for a year level, you can also select different granularities that you want. Sometimes you might receive data in milliseconds also. And the report requirement might be you want to show at a daily level what is happening. In that case, you can change it to a day level. It will drastically reduce the number of records. Okay, so just wanted to show that. Now, I was talking about incremental refresh. By default, it is all rows. When you extract refresh, it is all rows. Everything it will refresh. I mean, the old, new, everything. But let's say I want to only bring in the rows that are newly added. So you just need to click on this incremental refresh. So when you click on this, what it needs is a few information, table to refresh. So you just select the table and identify new rows using column. So basically, what is my identifier here? How do I know a new column has added? Date field, right? By looking at the date field, I would know a new row has been added. So I'll select the date always. So in your table, there will be a primary key always, right? Mostly they are used, the primary keys. Now I have added this. Now you see there is something I can't show it below. It's not going up, but there is something called OK button. I'm just hitting enter. It will do that for me. Now I have set a incremental refresh And how do I identify the rows? It is identifying based on my date, right? Now you see automatically this got added. I mean, sorry, when you go to an extract, right, last time it was only refresh, full refresh. Now you get two options, refresh full, refresh incremental. Okay. Now let's say I'll go to the Excel file and I will add a new record. Let's see what happens. 12, and let's say I'll make it 750. Save it. Now I'll come here. Now I will do right click, extract, and I'll do incremental refresh. Now you see only 11th. Refresh incremental. Now it didn't give me any warning because it knows it is not going to refresh the whole thing. Now that new row got added, 750. Incrementally, only one row got added. Okay. Now you can also do that with a full refresh, but it will again bring in everything together. But there is a catch in incremental refresh. Now let's say in incremental refresh, what is happening? It is identifying the new row. It checks whether new row, new date got added. It checks whether that date is present or not. If not, it will bring in that row. Now what if we change an existing value? Let's say this 7th February, I will change it to let's say 900. Okay, this 7th February, I'll change it to 900 and save it. Okay, now let's say I will do again that incremental refresh. Extract, refresh, incremental. See, refresh is complete, but no change happened to this, right? Because I have said incremental reference identifying new rows. It's not a new row. It is the existing row where we change the data. So you need to be very careful when you are setting up the incremental refresh. Always talk to your data owners or database team that there is no change going to happen to the existing data. If there is change happening to the existing data, that will not reflect in incremental refresh. But if there is change happening, it's going to happen to the existing data, don't use that incremental refresh, always use a full refresh. Okay. Now if I go here, extract, and if I do a full refresh, now you see always you will get that error warning. Now it will change to 900. You see now it got changed to 900. So there is a catch between full refresh and incremental refresh. Incremental refresh, do it when you are 100% sure there is no change going to happen to your existing data. If it is happening, don't go ahead with incremental refresh. Incremental refresh are although fast when for the refresh time, but there is a chance of losing out if you do not know how the data works behind the scenes. Any questions?
So by changing a value in date column and go for incremental refresh, it will happen or not?
Changing the date?
Like here we will do change in sales column, but we want to change the value in date column and then go for incremental refresh.
In the Excel, in the source file you were talking about?
Yes, sir. First is change in Excel file, then incremental refresh.
So you want what you want to change here?
Change any dates in between this.
So change like this, what you want to make?
Month is converted to 03.
Okay, whatever the existing, right?
Any
Okay.
one of them.
Yeah. So now you see this, I have changed it to 03. There's already a 03 present. Now let's go ahead. Let me save it. Let me go ahead to Tableau and do an incremental refresh. So what should happen, because Tableau aggregates everything. So if it works, what will happen? This 491 will be added with this 900, right? It should be a higher value. It should be 1200 something, you will see if that incremental refresh will work. Now I clicked on it. You see nothing happened because third is already present. So Tableau didn't think it's a new row. But if you do a full refresh, it will become 1200 now, 1291 something, 1391. You see? Got it how it works? Okay, good question. What is the use of full refresh when we have, what is the use of incremental refresh when we have full refresh? That's what I explained, right? Let's say full refreshes normally take a lot of time. When you have rows in millions, normally till date I have only used full refresh, to be honest. Okay, because I don't want to take that risk of losing out any data. Okay, but in case you are 100% sure that there is no change going to happen to the existing rows, in that case you can go ahead with incremental refresh and it will only bring in the newly added rows. But full refresh will get you everything from the start, even though there is no need. Yeah, it's according to the required. Now, see, this requirement nobody will tell you. Nobody will tell you. So it's basically between you, your database team, your Tableau admin team. Let's say you have published a report and there's an extract and it's a full refresh. And Tableau admin team found out that that particular extract is taking a lot of time to refresh and it is consuming a lot of server resources for them. So they wanted to highlight that to you. Okay, so this is consuming a lot of time. Can you do something to it? Can you change it to an incremental refresh or can you change it to a live connection? They will say something like that. So in that case, it is a very technical requirement. I mean, it's not a business requirement. It's like how fast you want to refresh your data, whether it is putting pressure on your Tableau server. If it is putting pressure on your Tableau server, definitely they will tell you. They will send an email, right? So it's not according to the business requirement, but it can be a technical thing, how you are implementing.
And sir,
What
when
is,
to use that live option and when to use that extract one?
it's a business requirement. Okay.
Like, we
So
can
if,
refresh both of the data, na? So
sorry,
we can refresh both the data with the live also and with the extract also.
that's the catch. You need to refresh. It will not be auto refresh, right?
Okay.
You need to put a schedule at a certain time. Let's say every hour or every 4 hours or every day. So definitely you can refresh, but there is a dependency. But in live connection, data comes to your table and it will be reflecting on your dashboard. So users will be able to see what is happening in a real time, right?
Oh, got it.
Stock market data or your online advertisement data, digital marketing data. People don't wait to see after a day what is happening. They might want to see if they launched a campaign, they would like to see what is happening right now, or what is the effectiveness of the campaign, right? So in those cases, I mean, they won't wait for it to. If let's they are using your report, they are waiting. They are continuously. They also try to refresh that. Nothing will happen because it is you've already put it into a schedule. It will only refresh at the time that you have given.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Any other question, guys? All right. So what we will do next is we will go through each and every chart. Okay. We will try to create each and every chart that is present. So there are 24 different chart types, but Tableau is not limited to these 24 chart types, and we will discuss what to use when and when. Okay. So that will be the next class, guys, and we will meet on Saturday morning. Any questions, guys, before we close? All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.